Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of my One Ring solo campaign. We're going to take a look at the fellowship phase of the game. Hirloon has just made it to Rivendell. He's got to stay there for 12 days in order to recuperate after his long journey from Bree, where he led people who were willing to fight against the dark coming out of Mordor. And we're going to see what that means for Hirloon during his stay in Rivendell. I'm Tristan. This is Heroes and Homebrew. Okay, so Hirloon is in Rivendell. He's staying there for 12 days. That's the amount of exhaustion he's got. If we look at our map here, you can see his travel fatigue is really high. So he's got to stay there for 12 days. But that means we're going into what's called the fellowship phase of the campaign, or one of the fellowship phases of the campaign. So let's take a look at what it says in the Strider rules for the fellowship phase. Fellowship phase is a player-driven segment of the game where a player hero visits a safe haven to reflect on their adventures, rest and recover, and undertake personal projects. Structure of the fellowship phase, as described on pages 118 to 120 of the One Ring Core rulebook, this bad boy, is unchanged for solo players. You can set the duration and location of the fellowship phase as appropriate to your current situation. So the duration is going to be 12 days, and the location obviously is Rivendell. With a longer break for Yule, which is a holiday, approximately once every 3 fellowship phases. You'll perform updates to spend accumulated experience points gained through milestones and select one or more undertakings. Take the time to imagine your player hero's interactions and activities during fellowship phase. For the solo adventurer, this is a welcome opportunity to bask in the warm glow of community before setting off alone once again into the wilds. Much of what defines the story of your character is how they relate to others and what personal goals they pursue with the comfort of safety and time. Spiritual recovery for solo players. As detailed on page 119 of the core rulebook, the lore master would normally determine the number of shadow points to remove during the fellowship phase. As a solo player, you instead decide how many shadow points to remove based on your actions, how your actions have impacted the fight against the encroaching shadow. I don't have any shadow points, so for now, that doesn't really matter. So let's go to this big guy, and we need page 118 to 120. Probably won't read the whole thing. I will take a look at it and summarize for you guys. So we're going to set duration, 12 days. Choose destination. Once the length of the fellowship phase has been determined, the players must decide where they will spend it. You know, we're in Rivendell. Perform updates. So players may now spend their accumulated experience points to improve the player hero's skills and combat proficiencies and to acquire new valor and wisdom ranks. Additionally, the time spent in front of a cozy hearth while enjoying an everyday life confirms to the player heroes that their efforts are not wasted and restores their faith in a brighter future. Okay, so training. I have, or Hirloon has, 2 adventure points and 4 skill points. So, players spend skill points to develop their players' heroes' skill ratings using experience points cost table below. That's this guy. Let's take a look at this. What do we want to improve? So I don't really have the points to. Well, I've got 6 total, so I can't bring anything up to 2. That's 1, but I can bring something to 1. I can bring a skill to 1 if I want to. I only have 3 skills that are not 1 yet. I'm thinking maybe I'll save them. That's what I think I'll do. I think I'm gonna save my experience, my adventure points, and my skill points to be able to raise something else later. All right, next, choose undertakings. Undertakings are time-consuming endeavors that player heroes can accomplish exclusively during a lengthy stop like a fellowship phase. Players select a number of activities based on whether the fellowship phase is an ordinary one or if it's Yule, the end of the year. See fellowship phase undertakings on page 121. Okay, so let's gather rumors. I think he's going to gather rumors. Ponder storied and figured maps. The other ones are for Yule. Strengthen fellowship, which I'm by myself, so to study magical items. I don't have magical items. Write a song. I think we're going to gather rumors. So, news of strange things happening in the world are multiplying with every passing year. Tidings of a gathering darkness, of distant wars, and of the flight of the elves. Vague legends and old songs are proving to be more than just children's stories. Player heroes gathering rumors to try to separate facts from fireside tales, and to gather stories that may prove useful in their adventures. Choose this undertaking to receive a rumor from the lore master. A rumor can be a story about an individual, a place, or a coming event, pointing specifically to something that the company can explore, prevent, or aspire to achieve. Otherwise, a rumor can be something specific that the player hero is inquiring about and directly related to the current adventuring circumstance of the company. A company, including a warden, can choose this activity as a free undertaking. I'm going to roll for a rumor from my patron. We're going to roll for a rumor from Tom Bombadil. Yeah, we're going to roll 1d6 minus 1 because we already did one of them. So d6 minus 1. 4 or 3, that would be this one. The shadow corrupts a sacred site. What is the place? What foul presence now taints it? The shadow is corrupting a sacred site. We're going to have to discover what's there. So let's take a look at this map here. The Great Barrow has a connection to the White King, which I think we could assume is maybe connected to the shadow, but we just have to find the Barrow Downs. Here we go, the Barrow Downs. That's where we're going. The Barrow Downs are here. Pretty dangerous place. I think that's probably the Great Barrow. So let's read about the Barrow Downs, and I think that's where Heirloom's going to be heading. All right, so rising on one of the highest hills in the Barrow Downs, this burial mound conceals a vast underground complex descending deeply into the bowels of the earth, with dark and cold tunnels winding into many lesser burial chambers where dozens of warriors are entombed with their gear of war and precious treasure. The stink of decay, stagnation, and rot chokes any who are foolish enough to push aside the great carven stone that blocks the entryway into this labyrinth of the dead. This is the haunted lair of the White King, the chief of all blighted creatures who dwell in Tirn Gorthad. Some say he was the last king of Cardolan, buried in the Barrow Downs before the Great Plague. Others hold him to be the malicious spirit of some fell captain who once served Angmar. What is certain is that in the ages since the barrow was dug, the White King has carved for himself a great throne room deep in the darkness. Concealed from the light of day, he sits and festers in his own hatred, his lust for death satiated only when intruders dare enter his domain, or on the rare occasions when he walks among the mists of the Barrow Downs under the cover of darkness. Stories of his empty eyes, his broken blade, and his terrible song have kept most would-be tomb robbers from daring to come near his domain, and those who do are seldom heard from again. This will probably kill Hirun. This is not going to be an easy task for him. At the very center of the Barrow Downs is a hill with a wide and flattened top rimmed by low raised edge. A single monolith stands tall in its middle like a finger raised in admonishment. Its stone surface is always cold to the touch, even when hit directly by the light of the sun. Whoever climbs to the top of the hill is cursed to encounter a Barrow Wight as soon as the night comes. Additionally, anyone touching the monolith gains 1 point of shadow. Okay, I think the Barrow Downs, maybe not necessarily the Great Barrow, but I think the Barrow Downs is where we are going. So, we're in Rivendell. We're going to go to the Barrow Downs. It is a long trip because remember we came from Bree last time, which was here, so we're going even further than Bree, and that was a 17-day trip. So we're going a little further than Bree, but then we can go back to Bree afterwards and rest up again. So at least there's that. So having completed our fellowship phase, we are going to erase Hirloon's travel fatigue. I will get another sheet for the next journey, and we're going to go towards the Barrow Downs on the next episode. So that was it. That was just the fellowship phase. The fellowship phase is a part of the game where you rest up, you heal, you advance your character using the accumulated adventure points and skill points that you've gotten, and you decide on what the next course of action is. So the next course of action for Hirloon is he's going to head towards the Barrow Downs, and he is going to find what dark thing is festering there and what it's doing and what it has to do with the darkness coming out of Mordor. Okay, so that was the fellowship phase. We've got another adventure coming, and I think it's going to be a lot harder than what we just went through with our trip to Rivendell from Bree. Going to the Barrow Downs is going to be a whole other ball game. It should be interesting, and I look forward to. We're probably going to end up in some combat, and we're going to see how the game mechanics work for that. So until next time, save a seat for me at your table.